Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
How,
So we're
how is your health, Bill? I mean, obviously, everybody, really the last time most people saw you was coaching at the end of the regular season. You had a little bit of a health scare at the end of the regular season going to the Big 12 tournament. Didn't coach then, didn't coach in the NCAA tournament. I talked to you through that a little bit. I don't think people really understood kind of what happened. Can you take us through exactly what happened? I know it's some balance issues and whatnot. You look pretty good now, though.
oh well, that means a lot coming from you. That I look pretty good now. But I had a situation that I probably hadn't felt well for a while, but probably didn't know I didn't feel well because I didn't really ever feel good. And I found that out since then that I actually didn't feel well because I can tell what feeling well actually feels like now. So I had an episode the day before the Big 12 tournament where I've had a heart issue going back to the fall that I didn't let anybody know about, and I had a valve replaced, aorta valve replaced, which is pretty common. I mean, it's not like it's a huge deal, and it happens with a lot of folks. And was told I would feel better immediately, and I just felt okay. I didn't ever feel better immediately, and then I had some lingering things kind of going on. And then the day before the Big 12 tournament, I had an episode where obviously it became much more than what it had been, and I got great care. They took me to KU Med Center and the KU hospital, and they took care of me, and I got a couple of stents put in there immediately. But it was more of a balance situation with me. It was obviously impacted by my heart, but it really affected my balance in a way where I thought I could coach until I stood up and did a quick movement, and then I kind of get disoriented or whatever. So they wouldn't let me coach, which was probably it was probably a wise decision for everybody. My team probably played better. I mean, Norm got them to the finals of the Big 12 tournament and played well. But the bottom line was as bad as I wanted to be out there, and I coached the teams in practice. I just was slower. But I could tell I wasn't quite right, and they told me I should lay off. But if we were fortunate enough to advance, I think I could have gone the next week in Vegas when we would have taken on Connecticut. But it was a learning experience, and I've taken a lot of things for granted in my life, health wise, and I'm sure a lot of folks have. And now it's made me think a little bit and value some things, maybe like eat right. Exercise.
Drink less beer, Bill. Drink less beer.
Not so much that, but lose weight. Which I guess drinking less beer goes into that. So
a little bit.
So hopefully I'll take those things a little bit more serious. But I'm fine now. I feel good.
Well, it's good to hear. I'm glad to see you looking well. Let's talk about this team that you have. You got the news on, I guess it was Wednesday, which would be yesterday, that Kevin McCullough is coming back. How big of an impact is that for you? What does that mean for this team?
Well, I think it means a ton for our team. Our rosters kind of come together nicely since the season's been over, and the portal's a strange thing, but the portal taketh away, but the portal giveth too, because we lost, I think, 6 guys or was it 7 guys in the portal. And we didn't anticipate losing. We probably
8 guys in the portal, Bill. 8.
So we probably anticipated losing 5 or 6. Just to be real candid, we probably anticipated doing that. We didn't lose any the year before, and not because of negative reasons, just because of better opportunities possibly for these kids. And I actually have been very happy and pleased with where they've landed, because I think they've gone to good spots for them respectively. But it was a unique situation. We didn't anticipate losing Ernest or Zuby there at the end. But when we got Hunter, it kind of threw things kind of threw things off a little bit, and those are good problems to have. It'll probably create really good situations, hopefully, for those two. But on the flip side, it's given us opportunity as well, so I really like I like our roster a lot. We only have 11 on scholarship, but I like our roster. I think it's a good blend. We've got basically 7 vets and we've got 4 newbies, and I think it's a good balance because our freshmen or soon to be freshmen are talented. They're good players. A couple of them I really believe we'll see playing at the highest level here in 2 or 3 years without question. But still, to have a Kevin McCullough, a Juan Harris, a KJ Adams, a Nick Timberlake, Hunter Dickinson, and Arterio Morse, and now Kevin McCullough back in the fold. That's some experienced guys to go along with really 4 talented freshmen. So I like our roster. The portal's not good, and I'll be the first to say this in a way that's good for our sport over time. Over time, the portal's not good where kids can just leave all the time. And people say, well, they should be able to. Well, that's fine and dandy, but also the first time you hit a road bump, you shouldn't have to. You should actually go over it sometimes as opposed to around it. But the portal over time, I don't know that's going to be good for our sport. I don't see it being good for our sport over time. But for this one particular year, it was good.
Like the portal.
It was good for Kansas, and so hopefully we can take full advantage of it come this winter.
All right, so you didn't have a big that you could throw it into last year. You love having bigs that you could throw the ball into. Now you got one in Hunter Dickinson. After watching tape and really kind of breaking everything down with Hunter, I know you did on the visit, and I'm sure going into it. How does Hunter compare to some of the other really good big men you've had over the years?
I don't think I have a comparison offensively. I really don't. You know how some guys can just shoot the ball, and if it gets on the rim, it just finds a way to fall in. It's just a soft touch. Where some guys, it goes boom, 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 and then comes out. Some guys, it just kind of just softly just hits the rim. Joel offensively is probably the closest we had, but Joel for us, what did he average? 11 points a game. He was a freshman. He was young. He was green. Didn't know yet. Hunter is much more established offensively from a skill set standpoint. Now athletically, he's not where Joel is by any means like that. But I don't think I've had anybody like him. I really don't. Could you say a skill set like a Markeith Morse, maybe? Something like that. Yeah. But most of our bigs have been angle guys. They get an angle. The Cole Aldridges of the world, the Sashas, the Darnells, guys like that. Darrell Arthur wasn't really a true big, but probably is as close to Hunter from a skill set standpoint, being able to make a 17-footer and stepping out. But he's got a lot of things he's got to get better at to improve his ability to play at the next level as a 5-man plays at the next level. Because if he was ready for that, he wouldn't be in college still, because offensively he can score the ball. And, he can shoot. He shot 42% from 3 this year. And you'll probably bring it up, but, he may be one of our most effective 3-point shooters next year as well. So, which I don't know if that's a great thing, but certainly, I look for him to be a threat. But, the guy has averaged over 18 points a game for 3 years in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten's had as good a bigs as any league in the country. And with the defenses designed to stop him. So hopefully if we put some good parts around him, he'll be able to maneuver in a way that maybe he hasn't had as much freedom because of so much attention, in his first 3 years of school.
Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about him is that we've seen you run teams where you got the big guy inside and everything is about, all right, let's find a way to get him a seal. Let's get him an angle where all he has to do is catch it and go dunk it, right? We've also seen you play with teams where you basically play 5 out. Last year is a perfect example. This year, you got a guy at the 5 that can do both of those things. Like you could have a lot of fun with this offense next year.
I think so too. You know, we keep talking about Hunter, and we don't talk about what a great year KJ Adams had for us last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, KJ Adams is a prototypical 4-man, a Draymond Green type. Not saying he's Draymond, but a poor man's Draymond Green type. That when he played the 5, he was so effective in the short roll because he could get guys shots and probably has improved as any player in the country last year. But I've made a commitment to him. I want to play him some on the perimeter without question. And then you know, we're still very small. And then we're very fortunate. You know, we got Christian Brown's brother, Parker Brown, who people are sleeping on this guy. I mean, he's 6'10". He's an athlete. I mean, he's probably more athletic than Christian. He can play, you know, elbows a rim high. He can do a lot of things. He can run. Now, granted, his role won't be near as big with us as what it would be if he was starting and playing 30 minutes a game. But I look around and I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty good at that 5 spot. You know, because you can, to your point, Rob, you can play different ways. I mean, you can play small when you play big at the 5, and you can play, you know, obviously play KJ at the 5 some and play extra small, or you play Parker and he can move around and play anywhere on the floor. He's really a 4-man playing the 5. So I'm pretty excited about getting creative. Maybe it'll test my ability to come up with some new stuff, which I'm pretty fired up about.
With everything that's changing in the game, Bill, one of the big topics for me that I keep thinking about is some of these guys. We saw it with Jay Wright, right? 60 years old, and he's done. He doesn't want to deal with this shit anymore. I think you might see a guy, to me, in my opinion, like Tony Bennett, maybe go out a little bit earlier because he doesn't want to deal with this shit. You're 60. Obviously, you got a team here that can, you know, potentially win it all. But do you ever think about that of like, and I know you're making a ton of money here, so it's probably harder to leave when you look at your paycheck. But ultimately, when you look at how much the game has changed right now from a portal standpoint, from an NIL standpoint, everything, do you think about it a little bit more of like, hey, I don't know how much longer I want to do this? I
have thought about it, but it was more that it was forced on me to think about it here recently. You know, I took about a month or 6 weeks and reflected and thought a lot about it. And the one thing that I have found out in the time in which I had my episode was how much I missed it. And I think sometimes we make decisions. I know I've done it with career moves, and you probably done it with career moves where you make a move and then buyer's remorse kicks in after you make the move. Even though
I did it when I went with Dauster. I mean, buyer's remorse immediately when I teamed up with Dauster.
Probably still experiencing it on a daily basis.
Nightmares.
But you know what I'm talking about. You know you made the right decision, but there's that doubt that has crept in. Should I have done this? Was the time right? And in this particular situation, I think it helped me, because I think there's sometimes where guys or ladies get out of what they're doing and wish they hadn't done it. Just like there's some people that stay too long and wish they had. I think the opposite also comes into play. And with me, I think it kind of helped make my long-term decision a little clearer, in that I miss this and I enjoy it. And as much as today's game has changed, and as much uncertainty as there is with our sport in college basketball and all the things that are going on, I think in some way it's kind of re-energized me, because if you don't change, you're going to get left behind. No So I think it's kind of energized me. Now, we can all believe what we think to be right, but the bottom line is we're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. So we got to learn to adjust. And it's just like coaching when there was no shot clock to the 35-second, or there's no three-point line to the three-point line, and the adjustments that old school, the best coaches our sport's ever known, the Eddie Suttons of the world, that had to adjust and do it so successfully. I think it's kind of in the same way now, but it's just off the court adjustments as much as it is on the court adjustments.
Bill, the one thing that I've always given Mark Few a ton of credit for is his ability to find that balance between working and living, right? Like he doesn't live to work, he works to live, is the way that I like to phrase it.
Yeah, good.
Have you found yourself, since your health scare, have you found yourself changing how many hours you put in? Are you putting in a deadline? Look, I'm off the clock at this time these days. Don't bother me.
He's looking at his wife right now. He's looking at his wife being like, I gotta get the hell off this so I can hit the beach.
That's not true at all. But I have never looked at the job in that you had to put in certain hours. I've always thought the job, if you look for something to do, you can never get finished. I've always thought, you can always call one more AAU coach. You can always contact one more person about recruiting at some point in time. There's obviously things that can be done that would never put an end to it. So I don't feel like that I could ever get finished, whether I was age 30 or age 60. But I do feel like now a lot of the things I did at age 30 were really not working very smart at all. Not at all. I feel like I wasted time. I feel like I was in the office just to be in the office a lot of times. And so I do think, to Rob's point, I do think there's an opportunity now, being a little bit older and understanding how this really works and what really recruits players and how to develop relationships. I can't tell you how many note cards I used to write, and I'll bet you half of them were never read. Things like that. And so I've kind of been the polar opposite on those types of things. But I do think working smarter allows you to live more. And of course, if you lived on a river and you were able to fly fish every day and that kind of stuff, that would probably add. We have a river in Lawrence, but nobody's fly fishing over there.
Hey, he's fly fishing and he's playing pickleball. And that's all he's doing right now. Trust me. That's all he's doing. And everybody else is jealous because somehow, some way, Mark Few keeps getting it done without working the same hours that you and Izzo and all those other dudes are working.
But see, I think sometimes we take that, we don't give credit where it's deserved. He's working.
Yes, he is.
He knows what works for him, and what works for him has worked as well for him as it has any coach in America over the last 20 years.
Last one I have for you. You and I were watching Arturia Morris a couple summers ago down somewhere. I can't even remember which AU event it was, but I remember turning to you and saying, like, this dude, I don't know if there's 10 more talented dudes in this class than Arturia Morris. He goes to Texas, plays a little bit of a role there. McDonald's All-American, transfers in. How much of an X factor can Arturia Morris be for you? Because again, he's electric. He's dynamic. He's got all the physical attributes.
Well, first of all, he's been at a place where he was obviously one of the more talented players on the team, but the way that Texas was so talented in the guard spot, being young and competing against, the Marcus Carrs and the Serge Ibaka, those guys, and Tyrese Hunter, those guys were proven at this level, and so he kind of settled into the fourth guard. But I've had a lot of guys that have been fourth guards on my team when they first get here and end up being NBA long-term players. I see him as being one of those guys. I see him as a guy that if he plays well for us, I think he could be as talented as any guard in our league if he plays well for us. And I think he's thirsty. I think he's hungry. Obviously he's been through some stuff, been humbled, some things like that, which also will add to his chip on the shoulder to want to show everybody what he's capable of doing.
All right, listen, let him get out of here so he can hit the beach. Because
that's what I'll do.
Yeah, just don't take your shirt off, whatever you do.
Don't worry.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.